Kamakhya kama sampannam, Kameshwari hara priyam, Kamana dehi me nityam, Kameshwari namosute. Welcome everyone to the channel. We will discuss yet again a secret about Kamakhya, and it puts me into a very bizarre position when I see Kamakhya only known for supernatural activities and the agoris and the saints that come there to work, but we almost forget what magnificence she hold for each one of us. And one of the main characteristics of Kamakhya is her transformative, transmutive, medicinal energy. And we will today discuss and understand that property. I've been working on this energy and this characteristic with a lot of my patients, a lot of my clients, and it has brought us tremendous results in terms of not only material growth but spiritual growth. So that is the reason I'm going to discuss about it. To understand Kamakhya as a Guna tantrika, we will take a step back and understand the three gunas in short, and I will post the presentation somewhere here. Gunas are three elemental natures or characteristics that are presented in every creation that has been done by Shakti, or every creation that exists. These three natures are Rajas, Sattva, and Tamas. Now, Rajas is basically the energy of action, the energy of growth. Rajas is also represented by the energy of sun. It is the energy that gives us fame. It is the energy that gives us success. It is the energy that gives us glamour. It is also represented in the Hindu tradition. It is also represented by Lakshmi, the goddess of materiality. Then the next element comes, that is Sattva, which is the goddess of Saraswati, represented by goddess of Saraswati, also represented by moon, also known as the wisdom or the intuition of Rajas. The experience, the wisdom that we gain from our engagement and interaction with the physical world, with the Rajas energy, is the Sattva energy, is the wisdom, is the intellect, is the intuition that we gain. The last element comes, or the last property that comes, is Tamas, which is the inertia, the stagnation, the stop, or the gravity of it all. The space that holds, or the basically the inertia or the stagnation, or also the indulgence. It is, if we don't have the space or the gap to enjoy the physical world, there's no point of engaging into activity, and that indulgence comes from Tamas. Most of the time Tamas energy is considered bad, and most of the times people advocate Sattva energy as the highest form of energy, and that is, for me, it is not right. It is not the apt representation of these three elements. Growth happens in all three elements. How? I will give you an example. When we plant a seed, the earth element is represented as Tamas. So when we plant a seed in a soil, for a few weeks, the plant doesn't grow. We cannot see the seed. It is cocooned. Similarly, how when a conception is done or fertilization is done in a womb, you can, for 9 months, the mother doesn't even know what is growing inside her. Is it a child? How the child looks? Is it right or not? Is it growing in the right form or not? We cannot experience it. We cannot touch it. There is a intuitive feeling. There's an experience in the womb that we see, but we cannot physically see it. And that is the growth in darkness, which usually represented by Kali or Parvati or Durga as a goddess. The growth in Tamas, and there is growth in Tamas. After Tamas, the plant sprouts out, and that sprouting and the growth, that is the visible growth that we see, is the Rajas element, which is the energy of the sun, the growth in the light. And then comes the fruitation part of the plant or a tree, when we can see the flowers, where we can see the fruits, the reason why we grew a plant, and that is represented by Saraswati. These three gunas are also represented in all religions. For example, we have the Holy Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, and the three corresponding goddesses to it, Kali, Lakshmi, and Saraswati. In Christianity, it is represented as the Holy Father, Holy Son, and the Holy Spirit. So this forms a basic triangular energy, which is the core or the first formation of energy into matter. Now, once we understand these three gunas, the second step is to understand what is the role of Kamakhya as Guna Tantrika. And in the previous videos, I have talked about how Kamakhya is a boon giver, how she manifests things into reality. And while we walk on the path of Kamakhya, or we work with her energy, it is to note that Kamakhya is the only energy that not only provides us extreme material possessions, extreme wealth and fame, but also provides us spirituality at the same time. Her path is balanced, where one side you walk and you experience spiritual experiences or spirituality, and the other side you experience the material world, the material pleasures, and it does not detach you from the material possessions to move to spirituality. In other forms of, or another energy forms, you will observe that there is a sense of detachment that comes from material world to achieve spiritual power, and that is not the case in Kamakhya. When Kamakhya manifests, we also discussed that she manifests using 10 great wisdoms, which are expounded in her Shakti Pitha. And the beautiful secret that she has held for so long is that Kamakhya has chosen very precisely to stay with Kamlatmika and Matangi in the inner sanctum. She could have chosen any of the 10 great wisdoms, but she chose to stay with Kamlatmika and Matangi. And the question is, why is that? When we see the manifestation through great wisdoms, these 10 great wisdoms, we see that the abstract energy manifests itself as Kali, Tara and Shodashi, forming a divine triangle on top of us. What does it represent? It represents our first root or our first connection, the spiritual cord, the connection that from where our soul has descended into this physical body. Now this is the first root. The other root is through which we experience the world, we feel grounded and anchored, is from the base of our spine going down into Mother Earth, which keeps us very practical. Now, the question comes is, if there is a descending energy from that abstract source, there must be an ascending energy from the physical reality to the abstract form again. Otherwise, the 10 great mahavidyas or 10 great wisdoms that we have, how do we move back and forth through them? How do we channelize our energy from Kamlatmika to her counter energy that is Kali? How do we channelize our energy from Matangi to her counter energy that is Tara? How do we do that if there is no ascending triangle? If you have asked this question, we will click really, really well. You have to understand that anything in this universe that exists, or anything that exists as a spiritual experience in the yogic traditions, everything has to be validated by this human body. And I will give you an example that comes from the story of Krishna, where Yashoda asks Krishna to open his mouth. And when Krishna opens his mouth, there is the whole universe in his mouth. Yashoda can see the whole universe. And that representation tells us that everything in this universe exists within us. So does the spiritual experiences, so does the spiritual abilities. And that is why I say that if there is a higher triangle formed by the ascending energy or the descending energy at the top of us, there has to be a triangle formed within us also, which should push the energy to the top, creating that back and forth movement. And that is where the secret of Kamakhya sitting with Kamlatmika and Matangi lies. If we see the upper triangle, which is descending in form, there is Kali, which is the tamas energy, the darkness. There is Tara, which is the higher knowing or Saraswati, which is the sattva energy, the wisdom. And there is Tripur Sundari or Shodashi, alternatively also known as Kamakhya, is the material energy, from where the material physicalization of energy or the matter starts coming down. At the bottom, at the base of our spine, at the physical reality, the same triangle is formed in the reverse order. The first apex of this triangle lies in our basic chakra. This triangle is represented by Kamla, the goddess of materiality. The second apex of this triangle is formed by Matangi, which is the digestive wisdom, counter to Tara, which is the higher wisdom, which sits at the navel. Now the triangle isn't complete. The higher triangle is complete by Tripur Sundari or Shodashi. So where is the third apex? How do we complete the triangle? And that third triangle is completed by the womb energy, that is Kamakhya, which is the sex energy. I'll take you back to some of the principles that yogic traditions in all cultures have represented, be it Christianity, Buddhism or Hinduism. All of them have told about that there is a dormant energy within the base of our spine that, when awakened, rises up and helps us achieve spiritual liberation or evolution. What is this dormant energy. This dormant energy is the dormant divine feminine energy, while the spiritual energy that is descending down is the divine masculine. And the dormant energy that comes from Mother Earth and rest in the base of our spine is divine feminine energy. So to complete the holistic well-being, to complete this union, the divine feminine has to meet the divine masculine. And when I'm talking about masculine feminine, I'm not talking about man and woman. It is the spiritual energy has to meet the feminine energy for us to feel balanced. And for that to happen, the apex of this triangle, the third apex, has to come into picture. And that third apex is the womb or the sex energy represented by Kamakhya. That is why when we work with Kamakhya, we don't detach ourselves from the material world, but create a complete balance between the spiritual and the material realm. That is why it exists as a portal, because there in the inner sanctum, she has created this divine triangle at the physical level, using Kamla as the energy, using Matangi as the energy, and using herself as the energy. The physical triangle is in the inner sanctum, on that hill of Nilachal, and the experiences or the energy that we generate through our meditations are already being created by, at the top of our head, through Kali, Tara and Shodashi, bringing that physical goal into physical reality, or the manifestation into reality. Now the role of Kamakhya is very important here. Kamakhya, as I've told you, she refines pleasure. And the reason all the traditions, be it Hinduism, Buddhism or Christianity, they talk about this dormant energy in the base of our spine can only be awakened, can only be risen through the help of sex energy. Sex energy actually acts as a fuel, or the propulsion, or the multiplier, because it is reproductive in nature. It acts as that propulsion for us to facilitate this energy up to our crown, hence giving us a balance between spirituality and materiality. Also helping us achieve higher material possessions, higher success, higher growth, higher wisdom. Now, Kamakhya as a refinement, transformative goddess, when we work with her energy, she allows us to, first thing that she does is to refine the kind of indulgences, the kind of pleasure and the type of pleasure. Also with the people and situations we seek pleasure from, she refines it. Why does she do that? Because the moment she refines it, your sex energy starts getting less tempered. And when the sex energy gets less tempered, the three goddesses come into balance: Kamla, Matangi and Kamakhya. Kamla is represented at the root chakra as the goddess of Rajas. She is the Lakshmi, she is the Rajas, she is the energy of action. When Kamla or the root chakra or the Mooladhara chakra becomes excess, or there's excess of Rajas energy, we experience too much action, too much chaos and too much exhaustion. There's action, and we feel exhausted after a certain point of time. And when the Rajas reduces, when there's lack of Rajas, we become lethargic, we become depressive, and in later stages we kind of develop osteoarthritis. That is one of the reasons why osteoarthritis is related with the age, because the Rajas starts reducing. When indulgences become too much, which means that when your sex energy is being used too much and it is not balanced, what happens is we move into addictions, thereby draining our basic chakra or the Rajas energy. Hence, addictions lead into failure in life. Hence, addictions lead into depression in life. If there is lack of sex energy or lack of tamas energy, Kamakhya is the representation of the womb energy, Kamakhya is the representation of tamas energy. If there's lack of tamas energy, if there's not that space to enjoy what we are achieving through our actions, then there is lack of joy, there's lack of pleasure. So Kamakhya as the energy center sitting at the womb or sitting at the sex chakra allows us to balance this Rajas energy, to balance the action with pleasure. You achieve something, you enjoy it. You again go and achieve something and you enjoy it. Don't enjoy too much so that you stop acting, and don't act too much so that you stop enjoying. When this two energy balances up, the third energy that comes into place is the Sattva energy at the navel chakra, represented by Matangi or the digestive wisdom. Through these action and enjoyment, we understand what is the aptitude lifestyle for us, what is the way to achieve growth, at the same time experience joy in our life, which is represented as the Sattva energy, the wisdom. And when the wisdom becomes too much and we stop enjoying or we stop acting, we move into detachment. And when the sattva reduces, when we do not learn our lessons, when we do not evolve through our experiences, then we move into ignorance. We detach ourselves from that gut feeling, from that intuition that guides us to help navigate this life. So Kamakhya as a womb energy helps us balance three gunas, and that is why she is medicinal in nature. That is why she is tantric in nature, because she is the one who will transmute you and help you find the right balance. And once this balance is created, there is an equilateral triangle formed at the base of our spine, which push our energy up. This push of energy up helps us engage with love. So your indulgences, the sexual activities that you get into, the pleasures that you seek from food, from drinks, and other things will give you love, because now you have moderation to experience the pleasure. And when you have a moderation, there's also enough energy in the base of this triangle to be moved up to your heart and allow this pleasure to sink in and become sustainable. When we keep this balance more for a longer duration of time, we observe that this moderation in indulgence, this moderation in action, this moderation in wisdom now slowly translates up into a creative expression. We start going and telling people about what we have learned, how we are living a holistic well-being, how we are living a holistic life, how we are engaging in this life by not getting overwhelmed. You start sharing that knowledge. And when we prolong this balance of the equilateral triangle at the base of our spine, it then moves up to the crown, helping us achieve the divine union or achieve liberation or enlightenment. So if you are in your awakening process, or you are in the process of ascension, or you are feeling that there is an urge, there is a calling towards divine, then I would recommend you either work with Kamakhya energy to balance this lower triangle of tamas, rajas and sattva, or you figure out ways to moderate your indulgences. I don't want you to work with Kamakhya, but the idea is there's a wisdom with Kamakhya that once you moderate your indulgences, the rajas and sattva element will automatically start balancing. And that triangle will be formed. And when that triangle will be formed, that triangle will start balancing itself with the ascending triangle. And that is why in yogic traditions, we all say that when your chakras are balanced, when your inner energy is balanced, everything around will be balanced. So it is not the ability to balance every chakra. We don't have to go and balance every chakra. All we need to do is balance these three elements at the base, because that is the source from where the energy will push up. We can bring the energy down through meditation. That triangle will always be formed because we get into prayers, we get into chanting, we get into meditation. That triangle is formed. You're not disconnected with the higher triangle. In some form or shape, how small, how big, how light, how fragile, that triangle is always there. Maybe because of fear that there is some supreme God and I should be fearful about it, that's why you're doing prayers, that triangle will be formed still. But where we lack in creating that balance in our life is where we stop balancing the lower triangle. And that is the profound secret that Kamakhya as a Guna tantrika has left for us. She has deliberately asked Kamlatmika and Matangi to stay close to her and reside in the inner sanctum to showcase that there is a lower triangle that we need to manage. That is the place where we need to put our thought and action into. And that will actually create this back and forth of energy and help us balance our life and the life around us. This is also one of the reasons, if you go to Kamakhya temple, you will notice that the moment you enter Kamakhya sanctum, there is a rush of energy that comes. There are a lot of people who cry in the temple. Why? Because when this divine triangle is formed, it automatically pushes the energy up. And if you don't have a balance in your life that is already being created by spiritual practices, if you haven't created enough systems for yourself to balance that energy, when this energy is pushed by Divine Mother in the inner sanctum, people have outbursts of emotions, people have outbursts of anger, people have outbursts of, or their body starts shivering. Because when the Kundalini energy or the dormant energy of the feminine energy rises up, it pushes and it kind of pressurizes all these emotions, all these thoughts, all these feelings to come out. And that is why people in the temple suddenly feel that their body is shivering, they're crying. Because the pre-work is not being done. The idea or the reason why I'm sharing this is because as I progressed with my clients and patients, working on the balancing of these three elements, using Ma Kamakhya, because I personally work with her energy, I found out that it is the prime source. It is the prime source to have a sustainable growth. It is the prime source to have a continuous, sustainable evolution. Otherwise, after a certain period of time, exhaustion comes in and we will move into stagnation. I really, really hope this helps somebody. I really hope you find the balance between these three elements and you go and experience what this divine triangle can do. You visit Kamakhya and you see what is the power of this divine triangle and what experiences you go through. I will invoke the blessings of Mother again to implant this seed in your psyche, to implant this energy, this thought, this teaching in your subconscious mind. Relax your body. Om Kamakhya Kama Sampannam Kameshwari Hara Priyam Kamana Dehi Me Nityam Kameshwari Namostute. Kamakhya Kama Sampannam Kameshwari Hara Priyam Kamana Dehi Me Nityam Kameshwari Namostute. I hope this helps. Thank you everyone for joining in. Please like, share and subscribe. And remember, when you create a balance within your system, the energy works on ripple effects. It will automatically change the reality around you. It will automatically transform the people around you and inspiring them to create a balance in their life. The lower triangle that we talked about is under our control. This is where our free will lies. This is the only free will we have to choose better and to ensure that we create a balanced equilateral triangle so that the energy moving up can be balanced by the descending triangle as well. I hope really helps. Thank you. Jai Ma Kamakhya.